Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome back to the Illinois State Championship, our coverage of this tournament. In round number 4, we have a great matchup between Tom Stahnke, a player who kind of just came back to the game. He used to play a couple years ago, took a little break, and now he is back. He is 4-0, going up against the current U.S. national champion, John Roberts II, and I am very excited to see these two guys go at it because we all know John Roberts is an incredible player. You know, he won U.S. Nationals in his first season playing, and this is kind of his follow-up season. We'll see what happens here. So we see that Cabalion EX, and we all remember that John used Kling Klang to pilot. Well, I can't talk today. Kling Klang was the deck that took John Roberts to the national championship. That was his trademark. You know, it was the rogue deck. He came out of nowhere, and he just went all the way through the field, the largest tournament in the history of the game, and he won with this Kling Klang deck. And it looks like once again he's going with a Kling Klang deck. We have that Cabalion EX, and now that we have the Plasma Kling Klang deck out, it brings some new options to the deck. And maybe he's found a way to reinvent the deck, and we'll have to find out. Now, unfortunately for him, he's going up against Tom's Garbodor deck. We see that Trubbish on the bench, and if you don't know what Garbodor does, if it has a tool attached to it, it shuts off all abilities. So Kling Klang's Plasma Steel ability is really what makes it powerful. It takes away all damage from EXs done to your metal Pokemon. And, yeah, I mean, when it gets shut off, what do? I mean, your whole strategy is kind of gone. We are going to see Tom play a computer search here. He's going to discard his Switch and a Max Potion. So he's going to be able to search for something. He might just grab an energy with that to get an energy attachment this turn. But yeah, if Tom can get a Garbodor out with a tool and just shut off that Plasma Steel ability, he'll be able to use his big EXs like Landorus, Mewtwo, that kind of stuff. He is starting with Terrakion, so that's not that great. But being able to attack with EXs against the Kling Klang deck, honestly, it's a huge thing. Like, sure, Cabalion EX is a solid Pokemon. You know, it does 100 for 3. But when you compare it to the other EX Pokemon, it's actually very underwhelming. Compare Cabalion's first attack to, you know, like Landorus, which does 30 and 30 to a benched Pokemon. It just doesn't stack up very well. And then compare Land's Judgment to Steel Bullet. It's just, they're not even close to the same thing. So, if you don't have that Plasma Steel ability at your disposal, how do you deal with those big EXs? And I actually don't know, and we'll see if John can figure out a way. Now, he did get poisoned by that Hypnotoxic Laser on the first turn. That is a bit of an annoyance. You hate to see that happen on the first turn of the game. He puts down a normal Cabalion, attaches to the active one. He'll be able to at least Righteous Edge for 30. And we'll see what else he decides to go with here. He's playing a Heavy Ball. He's going to grab that Clink. And, you know, an interesting thing will be to see, does John play Tool Scrapper? That can be a card that swings this matchup, because, you know, if Garbodor does not have a tool attached to it, then it does not use the Garbotox ability, and it doesn't really get anywhere. So we do see a Righteous Edge for 30 from John. He gets a Heavy Ball. He has no supporter. Fortunately for him, Tom did take an N from his Skyla the previous turn. And, oh, he just top decked a Juniper. I was going to say, strange to see that he didn't take a Juniper instead, considering he played his hand all the way down. Maybe he just wanted to take the N. He maybe thought John had a strong start or something like that. But he saw that, okay, John really did not have a strong start. He didn't play a supporter, didn't do really anything. So he's going to play that Juniper instead. And we'll see, can he get the Garbodor up and running? He doesn't actually need to do it this turn because there's no real EX he can attack with here. And his Trubbish, honestly, is in no danger of being knocked out. Cabalion EX needs 2 Metal and a Colorless Energy to use Steel Bullet for 100. So he can only do 30 right now, and that's not that great. But we will see a Retaliate from Terrakion for 60. John does top deck a Cheren, so we'll get 3 cards here. Hopefully he draws into something good. Otherwise, we could just see him fall victim to this Terrakion early on in the game. The poison damage is adding up, and all sorts of stuff is going wrong so far. But he does attach to that benched Cobalion. I do like that play. He's going to power that up for energy press if possible. And that's really what he's going to need to do. Like I said, Cobalion EX honestly isn't that great against big stuff like Landorus and Mewtwo. It just really isn't. Unless you have Plasma Steel to back you up. And we'll see. He does have a Rare Candy and a Klinklang in hand, but he hasn't played it done yet. I wonder if he's kind of hesitating, wondering, does this even do anything in this matchup? And if he doesn't play Tool Scrapper, honestly, it doesn't really do anything. And he might be saving it to get the Shift Gear Klinklang out instead. So if he does play Tool Scrapper, he could use the Shift Gear to his advantage, switch between attackers. But he does decide to go for that Plasma Klinklang, so all of his EXs are protected for now. Since Tom does not have a Garbodor in play, and then we're going to see a Righteous Edge for 30, and the Cobalion EX will go up to 70 from the poison. Now, this could be a huge turn for Tom if he gets a Burbank City Gym and then attaches to Land Crush for the knockout. Since that would do 90 plus 30 from the poison, he would get 2 prizes here. He does have his Skyla in his hand, so we'll see if he does that. His other option could just be Skyla for, I'm not actually sure, maybe Heavy Ball to get Garbodor, and then he could just attach to the bench Landers, but we'll see what he takes with this. And I guess we'll have to see, does he even play Verbank? I don't actually see Verbank in his deck. He might just play Laser. Garbodor is a deck that has trouble fitting all the right cards, and as we see, there is the Heavy Ball for that Garbodor. Garbotoxin is in effect. All abilities are shut off at this point. No more Plasma Steel. And, you got to think John does not like this matchup very much. This is probably one of the one decks he does not want to face. Garbodor was not a popular deck coming into this set of tournaments, state championships. It did have a bit of a showing at regionals, but it kind of seemed like one of those decks that just didn't get much stronger with Plasma Storm. In fact, it may have gotten weaker, because you just don't have the space for all this lasers and Verbanks, and you still need to run tools and switches and Garbodor line and all this stuff. But, I don't know. It's got a good matchup against Klinklang, apparently. We are going to see a Land Crush for 90 plus 10, so that'll put that Cobalion EX up to 170 damage. And now, John does have a Max Potion. He can heal that Cobalion EX off completely. So I'm assuming he'll go ahead and do that. And, might as well. Why give up 2 free prizes? Just go ahead and heal that thing off. Doing another 30 here probably isn't going to help that much. He puts down another Cobalion and an N. So we're going to shuffle in. Both players will draw 6 cards here. Now, in a perfect world, John could get a switch here. And then I do know for a fact that he plays Hypnotoxic Laser in his deck. So if he gets a switch and then a metal and a laser, he could, actually he just needs a switch and a metal. He can actually energy press. I miscalculated the damage there. It does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon. So all he needs is a switch and an energy, and he could pull off a huge knockout here. But it looks like he is an energy short. He does not have an energy. He has the switch, but no energy. That is a brutal turn for John. And that's a big missed opportunity for him. He puts down a Durant. That's an interesting tech. It's got the pull-out attack. It's actually the same thing as Trubbish's garbage collection attack. Take a card from your discard pile, put it on top of your deck. So it's a neat little addition to his deck. I like that. But it looks like he's just going to have to pass the turn here, and that's honestly a big missed opportunity because, he could knock out the only Pokemon on Tom's field that has energy on it. And then what does Tom do from there? He could Hammerhead for 30. It's not the greatest option in the world. Then he could just get hit by an Iron Breaker and then not be able to attack. So that every energy attachment is huge for the Klinklang deck. It's like that for any manual attachment deck. Honestly, it's like that for every deck. But stuff like Blastoise, Electric, things with energy acceleration, maybe Darkrai as well. Those things can afford to miss an energy drop every once in a while. But things like Klinklang, things like this Garbodor deck as well, when you can only attach 1 energy per turn, every one you miss is brutal. And we are probably going to see that here. You know, just missing that one energy is so painful. And we do see an Ultra Ball here for a Mewtwo EX. So Tom is just going all out, filling his bench with EXs. Normally, John would love to see this. You know, Landers and Mewtwo, all right, I'm safe. But Garbodor is out there. It's shutting off his Plasma Steel ability. So it's going to be weird, but Landorus and Mewtwo, they can hit EXs in this game. And we're probably going to see that here. So we do see a Juniper from Tom after he throws down those Landoruses and the Mewtwo. And he does have EXP share. That's an interesting card to play as well in this kind of a deck. I mean, you have to play tools. That's going to be great here. He's got 3 basic fighting on that Terrakion. So he's going to put a fighting on the Landorus. So probably attach the EXP share somewhere. Or he could hold on to it, you know, in fear of Tool Scrapper. But, you know, most people nowadays don't play Tool Scrapper in their decks. So Tom's just going to say, all right, if you got a Tool Scrapper, well, then whatever. But most people don't. So I'm just going to play my tools down freely. And the problem with Tool Scrappers, and sorry, there's a bit of a hiccup with the video there, but the problem with the Tool Scrapper is that it discards 2 tools at once. So ideally, you would only attach 1 tool at a time so that you could always have one to attach to your Garbodor. Because without a tool on Garbodor, it's just a sitting pile of garbage. It literally does nothing. And But if you know your opponent doesn't play Tool Scrapper, you can just think, all right, I'm safe. I can just play these tools wherever the heck I want, and I don't have to worry about it. And that's kind of the point in the metagame where we are. Why would you play Tool Scrapper when you could play a laser that actually does damage? Yeah. Alright, so we do have a switch coming from John. He's going to try to Energy Press for the knockout here, but now you can see the difference. Alright, last turn, if he were to just use Energy Press to knock out this Terrakion, boom, it's a huge play, wipes out all the energy from Tom's field, everything is fine. But look what happens now. If he switches, and, you know, he uses Energy Press for the knockout, there's already an energy on that bench. Landorus, it also has the EXP share, and it'll get an energy once Terrakion gets knocked out. It'll move to the Landorus, and then he can attach and lands Judgment for the knockout. So John actually switches into Clink. Don't see this very often. And here's a Hypnotoxic Laser. And it looks like that is a Tails. And it looks like he's got a Verbank as well, so he might just put that out there and try to knock out this Terrakion using passive damage. But nope, he's going to Dowsing Machine instead and go for an N. So there we go. Dowsing Machine is kind of like Junk Arm from last format, but you can grab anything. You can grab supporters or stadiums as well. But you can only play one of them, so don't worry, not as overpowered as Junk Arm. So here, both players are going to shuffle in and draw 6 once again. Kind of a rough hand there for Johnny. Did not have an energy. And I'm sure he would have loved to save that Dowsing Machine for a better time, that's for sure. That's a little unfortunate. But, you know, we accidentally, when John cut Tom's deck, he accidentally revealed some cards there. It was a complete accident. No need to worry about that. But, yeah, you know, you would love to save Dowsing Machine for a better time. He would have loved to get the Verbank out there as well, I think. But, interesting to note that John does play Verbanks and lasers in this deck. I mean, that's a lot of cards that have to fit into your deck. It's a Stage 2 deck. But we see just how strong Laser and Verbank really are, that they are being fit into absolutely every deck. You know, this is a Garbodor deck that needs Stage 1s, tools, all of the works, and he still runs Laser. This is a Clang Clang deck that needs Stage 2s, rare candies, and it still runs Laser. So, it's just so powerful. These players have both realized that. And we're going to see another Cling Clang from John. He's got a rare candy into it. And, you know, just try to buy some time. This is probably his best option. He needs to buy time to get enough energy in play to build up some attackers. I mean, what else can he do? So he's going to attach to his other Cobalion. This is nice. He's going to spread out his energy a little bit, not committing all to one Pokemon. But the problem is Tom can also get this advantage, getting enough energy in play. And it just kind of seems like I said earlier, Tom's attackers, Landers and Mewtwo, are just better than Metal Pokemon. They really are. Metal Pokemon, even though they have the support from Cling Clang, and that is what makes them powerful, they just are not that good. They're very mediocre kind of attacks, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. John has to just kind of sit back, and if he just kind of runs into that Terrakion and knocks it out, then man, I mean, what does he do? He just gets knocked out, and it's just not a pretty situation to be in. So I'm curious to see what John's plan is here. I mean, he's gonna get his Cobalion EX knocked out. Tom did catch that out and land crushed it, and then he'll take 10 more from the poison there. But they haven't done that yet. But hopefully they realize that it takes 10 more from poison. Okay, John did. And yeah, I mean, he's got a Landorus EX with 2 energy on it. That is huge. He's got a fully powered Terrakion, just land crushing for 90 every turn. And John, what does he do? He can attack here, take down the Terrakion with Energy Press, and then Landorus just comes up and smashes him with Land's Judgment. But what other option does he have? He really doesn't have any other option. So there we go. Terrakion goes down, and he can activate EXP share. Hopefully he remembers to do that. Might as well. He's going to promote the Landorus. Okay, now he activates the EXP share. He's reminded when he goes to promote the Landorus. That's good. So now he's just got a 3 energy Landorus EX that can use Land's Judgment. It can do 80, or you can discard all your fighting and do 150. Either way is pretty darn good against this Cobalion out here. So you got to think that Tom, he has the advantage in prizes, he has the advantage in energy in play, he has the advantage in attackers. Where does John find an opening here? He missed his one huge opportunity at the beginning. If he had an energy to go ahead and energy press that Terrakion early on, that would have been a big difference. Now we see a laser from Tom, so we might see him favoring the Land's Judgment for 80 here, as opposed to the Land's Judgment discarding all of his fighting. And I don't mind that. Retaining all your energy is a good idea. And yep, he's just going to hit for 80 damage there, saving his energy. The problem is, I guess, he could get hit by a laser and then energy press for 80. And then John could follow up with another Cobalion energy press for 80 again. And that could be a huge problem for Tom. But I guess it's a risk he is willing to take. You might as well discard your energy there, I think, since John's only other attacker is that Cobalion EX with energy press, which would only do 20 if you don't have any energy attached anymore. But it's always kind of scary to have to discard all of your energy on your Landorus. That is pretty frightful, to be completely honest. So I don't know. I'm not sure if the laser damage from Tom will matter there. It's adding 10 here. It's put the Cobalion up to 90. It does make it so he can Hammerhead next turn for a knockout instead of Land's Judgment. That is actually very nice to be able to do that and then hit the bench Cobalion for 30. And then when that one comes up, he can then play a laser and then Land's Judgment for 80 and finish that off. So laser really coming into play here. That damage definitely making a difference there. I do like that now that I think about it more. And what will John do from here? Does he have an energy attachment? That is problem number 1. We see he has a Chorus, and that's going to get him a whopping 9 cards off of this draw card. Draw a card for each benched Pokemon in play. That's coming in huge. Chorus is a weak supporter early game, but as the game progresses, benches do get larger. And this is what's happening here. 9 cards, so he's going to be drawing a ton of stuff. What's he going to get here? Hopefully something good. And he does get an energy at the very least. That's great. Where is he going to put it? He could put it on the benched Cobalion. Set that up for an energy press next turn or even an Iron Breaker if he needs to. It's interesting to note that John did not play the laser before he played that Chorus. The laser could have set up some damage here on this Landorus. He would hit for energy press for 80 this turn, put the Landorus up to 90, and then it would be 100 coming back into his turn. And then he could energy press or Iron Breaker for the knockout on the following turn. Maybe he has a different plan here, but I'm not sure. And he's actually going to attach to the active Cobalion, just kind of saying, you know what, I am going for it all here. I am going to Iron Breaker and hope that Tom does not have any that Tom does not have any switches in hand. Because if he doesn't, Iron Breaker prevents an attack next turn. And that would be a huge turn of events for John to just get a free turn of doing damage, for sure. I guess we're going to see what else he has at his disposal. That laser, the poison damage is adding up on his own Cobalion, though. That could be an issue in the following turns. And now it's going to be up to Tom to get a switch. If he gets a switch, he's going to be in a great spot. And he does have a switch in his hand. So that is going to make all the difference here. John kind of needed to take that risk with Iron Breaker, I guess. It's such a big swing if he hits it and Tom doesn't have a switch. But, the difference is Tom does have a switch, and he's going to take a further prize lead. Going to improve his board advantage. And honestly, this is just a bad matchup for John. He's kind of doing everything he can. But sometimes there's just nothing you can do in these games. Sometimes you just fall so far behind, and, your deck gets shut down by Garbotoxin. That's just the way it is. We do have a DC on the Mewtwo. Tom will need to switch out of that Iron Breaker. And he does have the switch. And he's actually going to go into Mewtwo instead of Landorus. He could Hammerhead for 30 and 32 bench Pokemon. He opts to go for the Mewtwo instead. Interesting choice. He's going to be able to X-Ball for a knockout, of course. And then we'll see what happens from there. And John will fall behind 2 prizes again. Loses a lot of energy in play. And he's going to promote his Durant, which is an interesting choice. He can use Pull Out to get up any card back, or he could just send it up there to kind of die. That works too. He realizes he might not need Durant anymore, so he just puts that up there. What strategy can John use at this point to come back? I am not too sure. He could try to go for some fancy strategy where he catchers up a Garbodor and then uses Durant to get a catcher back with Pull Out, and then just kind of keep catching up Garbodor until it's stuck. That is one way to exploit the fact that Garbodor has a 3 retreat cost. So I guess John's going to take a look at Tom's discard pile, see that there's 1 switch, 2 switches I think in there. I can't tell how many. So that is an option. The problem for John is he really doesn't have anything that hits benched Pokemon. But he could do a play where, he knocks out Tom's only Garbodor with a tool on it and then plays an N. And then all of a sudden, if Tom doesn't have any tools, he cannot attack with his EXs anymore. That opens the door for John to come back. Now, we do have a switch into Cobalion EX. John did not have that on the bench before since he didn't have bench space, so he had to promote something and then switch. And he's going to do 30 with Righteous Edge, discarding the DCE from the Mewtwo. That's a pretty big play as well. It's going to force Tom to either burn up another switch or have another double colorless. So you got to question why he used Mewtwo the previous turn when he could have just used Hammerhead to finish off the Cobalion. Maybe I overlooked something that's it's a big possibility. Now this is the situation we're in. Righteous Edge for 30 damage. The damage isn't as big as the discarding, but the damage is. We'll take that too. So Tom now, he's got to be careful not to use too many switches, because otherwise that situation can occur where your Garbodor gets stuck up in the active spot. Something that can happen as well is you can actually deck out because you cannot move the Garbodor out of the active spot. That is another concern. Landorus does come up now. With the one with 1 energy actually comes up. And he just wants to protect that other one from being knocked out, since that is going to be his huge hitter to kind of wipe out one Pokemon at some point. And we do have a Skyla. He may play a catcher here. I'm not sure what else he's going to go for. Maybe an Energy Surge if he plays one. It doesn't look like he does, though. So I'm not sure what he's going to grab with this. It's an interesting decision. He grabs a Juniper, gets a supporter for next turn. He is kind of running thin on cards in his deck. So that situation where his Garbodor gets stuck in the active spot could happen. There are at least 3 switches in the discard pile now. And I don't know. Maybe this is a little opening for John to take advantage of if he can draw catchers over and over. And then take advantage of that Durant back there. But will Tom have enough juice to finish the game off? I'm not sure. He's going to hammerhead for 30 and 30 to the Cobalion on the bench. And we'll go from there. John does have an energy switch. We'll see if he decides to use that here. He has a catcher as well. So I'm not sure if he's going to go for a big play. He can catcher up the Landorus EX on the bench. And then energy switch up to the active. And then use a steel bullet for 100. Taking out that Landorus with 3 energy, that would be a huge play in this game. To, kind of even the score. But he does not have an energy in his hand. That is the big problem here. He could kind of go for it. He has an N in his hand. Just kind of go all in here. He might have to. This is kind of a bad situation. So here we go. Energy switch up to the active. And he's got a catcher. Is he going to go for it? I think he probably has to here. He's thinking about it. He knows that this could backfire if he does not get an energy. Because if he doesn't get an energy, this is what happens. Tom just uses Land's Judgment and knocks out his Cobalion EX. That is the fine line we're walking here. Tom would need to use his 4th switch to do that currently. But if John catches that thing up for him and then just misses the energy and doesn't get to do 100, he is the one on the losing end of that exchange. And here we go. He's going for it. This is kind of a riskier play. At this point, you may consider going for the Garbodor instead. So John is thinking about that as well. He's trying to figure out what Pokemon to catch her out. And, he's just going to decide to go for it. Time limits are a concern when you're trying to deck someone out. So he may be going that route for that reason. And he's going to evolve to Clang first. That's a good move. Get that card out of the way. And he's going to end. So this is it, folks. John needs to draw an energy off of these 5 cards. If he does, he will knock out this Landorus. He will give himself a shot to pull this game off. It seems like a very bad matchup, but he's given himself the best chance he can here. And does he draw the energy? Oh, he missed. Oh, that is heartbreaking for John. He gave himself the best chance. And now he's got to rely on a laser flip. If this is heads, maybe he can give himself a chance. But looks like, nope, that is a tails. And another laser. And that one is also tails, it looks like. So nothing going right for our national champion. And now what does he do? He's left with no energy in play besides the 2 on that Cobalion EX. And you can see he's visibly frustrated, and rightfully so, as he will use Righteous Edge for 30. And you got to think that kind of wraps this game up. Looks like he added a little bit too much damage on the Landorus. There's no Verbank in play. But hopefully that gets caught. But yeah, this is pretty much over at this point, I would think. We're going to see a Land's Judgment for 150. And then the Cobalion EX is going to go down. And then we'll probably just see one more Land's Judgment. And that will be the game, I would think. Here's a Juniper as well for Tom. So he draws great cards off of that N for 3 cards. And I don't know. What can John do from here? He's going to be down 5-1 in prizes. His Plasma Steel is shut off. And that's got to be pretty much it for this match. It all rode on that one turn there. And that's twice in this game. John just missed a crucial energy drop to win. And there we go. There's the Land's Judgment for the knockout. And from here, it's just one more energy and the game is over. Apparently there's 150 on the Landorus EX. I thought there was less than that, but probably won't end up mattering. Now what we need is a switch and then an energy, and the game is over. And we know Tom has both in his hand. There's a Skyla from John. He's eyeing up an N or a catcher. He's got to do the catcher, I guess. He might be better off taking the N here. He's frustrated either way. He might actually be out of stuff at this point. So I can't blame him for being frustrated. But, yeah, I don't know. There's a switch left for Tom, so this game is pretty much inevitable at this point. We can see there's a ton of supporters left for John as well. Just couldn't draw into any of them. He must have some energy prized or something, because I don't see actually any left in his deck. Maybe his odds of drawing that energy were pretty low. He doesn't have one in hand either. So is it possible that he's just out of energy at this point? It seems unlikely because he hasn't played too many of them. But I don't know. It looks like our screen is bugging out a little bit. I don't know what's up with that. But he grabs a Clink with the heavy ball, and it's going to have to be another pass. And it's just going to be a switch and an energy, and this game will be all over, folks. And, yep, we get the laser damage from Landorus, and that's got to be it. He puts a DCE onto Landorus, and there is the last switch. And that will be the game. Tom Stahnke will take down our U.S. national champion. And, yeah, 3 energy prized. If he would have had one of those, he could have knocked out. He could have knocked out that Landorus EX and perhaps made a huge comeback here. It would have been a long road ahead, but he still could have done it. So that's going to wrap this game up. Well played by both sides for sure. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll have more coverage here from the Illinois State Championship soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and we'll see you for round number 5 next.